You are standing in the Apple Store or staring at your screen with your credit card in hand. You want a new Mac. Apple just dropped the new M5 chips for both the Air and the Pro, making the decision harder than ever. The choice used to be incredibly simple. So why would anyone spend the extra cash on the Pro? That is the exact question we are answering today. We are going to break down the real differences between the MacBook Air and the MacBook Pro so you can buy the right machine for your actual life, not an imaginary version of it. Performance and cooling. Here's what matters when we talk about performance. Both laptops now rock Apple's latest M-series silicon, specifically the new M5 architecture that just hit the market. For everyday tasks, you will not notice a single difference in speed between the Air and the base Pro. Opening 50 browser tabs, writing complex documents, and scrolling through massive raw photo libraries happen instantly on both machines. They are both obscenely fast. But look under the hood, and you find the biggest mechanical difference between the two laptops. The MacBook Air does not have a cooling fan. It relies entirely on a passive cooling system to dissipate heat. That means it runs dead silent 100% of the time. You can export a heavy video file or play a graphics-intensive game, and you will never hear a whirring noise. The trade-off is sustained performance. If you max out the processor for more than 10 or 15 minutes, the Air has to intentionally slow itself down to keep the internal components from overheating. The MacBook Pro takes the opposite approach. It has fans. It is built to breathe. When you are rendering a massive 3D environment, exporting a long documentary in high resolution, or compiling huge amounts of complex code, the Pro spins up those internal fans. This lets the processor run at absolute maximum speed for hours on end until the job is completely done. Bottom line, if your work happens in short bursts, the Air is plenty capable. Display quality. Let me explain the screen situation, because this is where you really see where your extra money went. The MacBook Air features a gorgeous liquid retina display. It is bright, incredibly colorful, and looks absolutely fantastic for just about everything you do on a computer. It tops out at 500 nits of brightness, which is perfectly fine for a brightly lit office, a local coffee shop, or working on your couch. It runs at a standard 60 Hz refresh rate. For most people, this screen provides an excellent viewing experience. But the MacBook Pro display exists on another planet entirely. It uses a liquid retina XDR screen powered by mini LED technology. That means the screen can actually turn off individual microscopic pixels to create perfect pitch black darkness. The contrast ratio is unbelievable. Watching a movie or editing high dynamic range photos on the Pro looks like looking through a literal window. The Pro display can also get much brighter for standard content and pushes an insane 1600 nits of peak brightness for HDR. You can actually work outside in direct sunlight and still clearly see your timeline. Then there is Pro Motion. The Pro screen refreshes up to 120 times per second. Scrolling through a long web page or swiping between full screen apps feels like physically moving a piece of paper on your desk. Ports and connectivity. Here's what matters with ports and plugging things into your machine. The MacBook Air is a minimalist dream. You get 2 Thunderbolt ports, a headphone jack, and the MagSafe charging port. That is the entire list. If you want to plug in an older USB thumb drive, an SD card from your camera, or an HDMI cable for a second monitor, you are going to live the dongle life. You will need to carry a little adapter hub in your bag everywhere you go. For people who just work in the cloud and share files over the internet, this is a total non-issue. You might never plug anything in besides the power cable. But for creative workers, it gets annoying extremely fast. The MacBook Pro is built for people who actually plug real physical things into their computers. You get up to 3 high-speed Thunderbolt ports depending on the exact chip you choose. You get a dedicated HDMI port, so you can walk into a client conference room and plug right into the projector without a second thought. You get a built-in SD card reader, which is a massive time saver for photographers and videographers who need to offload heavy footage on location. You do not have to remember to pack an adapter because the computer already has everything you need built right into the side. It sounds like a minor detail right now, but when you are working on a tight deadline and you realize you left your card reader sitting on your desk at home, you will wish you bought the Pro. Design and portability. Let me explain the physical reality of carrying these machines around all day. The MacBook Air is aggressively thin. True to its name, it prioritizes a flat, ultra-lightweight profile. It weighs less than 3 pounds and slips into literally any backpack or messenger bag without a fight. You can easily pick it up off the table with 2 fingers. It feels like carrying a thick magazine. When you are traveling across the country, running through airport terminals, or commuting daily on a crowded train, the Air is an absolute joy to carry. You barely notice it is there. The MacBook Pro is undeniably chunkier. It is noticeably thicker, it is heavier, and it has a more squared-off, industrial look to it. The extra space inside the chassis is strictly necessary to house the cooling fans, the larger battery cells, and the wider selection of ports along the sides. It is not a heavy brick by any means. It is still a highly portable laptop, but you definitely know you have it in your backpack when you pick it up. If you walk miles every single day with your laptop on your back, your shoulders will vote for the Air. But the Pro feels incredibly solid in your hands. It feels like a piece of serious professional equipment. You are intentionally trading ultimate thinness and ultimate portability for maximum capability and zero compromises. Battery life. Here's what matters about battery life. Apple silicon chips are incredibly power efficient, which means both of these laptops will easily last you a full working day without a single problem. The new M5 MacBook Air gets up to 18 hours of battery life. You can leave your charging brick at home, go to a full day of classes, work at a cafe for a few hours, and still have plenty of juice left when you get back to your apartment late at night. It changes how you think about working remotely. It is completely liberating. But the MacBook Pro actually beats it. Because the Pro is physically thicker, Apple can stuff a substantially larger battery pack inside the aluminum housing. Even with the significantly brighter screen and the more powerful internal processors, the Pro models often edge out the Air. Some of the larger Pro configurations can push up to 24 hours of battery life during continuous video playback. You can literally work for 2 straight days on a single charge if you manage your brightness. If absolute maximum battery life is your top priority for long flights or remote locations, counterintuitively, the heavier and more powerful Pro is the actual winner. Price and value. Let me explain the money side of things. The MacBook Air is the undisputed value champion in Apple's entire lineup. With the recent updates, the base models now start with a very generous 16 gigabytes of unified memory and 512 gigabytes of storage right out of the box. You are getting a machine that can comfortably last you 5 to 7 years for right around $1,000. The value proposition here is completely off the charts. You get premium aluminum build quality, an amazing typing experience on the keyboard, and true flagship level performance for a very reasonable entry price. The MacBook Pro demands a serious premium. You are paying a lot extra for the incredible mini LED screen, the extra ports, the active cooling fans, and the massive battery capacity. If you make money with your laptop every day, the Pro easily pays for itself. The literal time you save on rendering out a huge project or compiling a massive application translates directly into dollars earned. It is an investment in your business. But if you are buying the Pro just because you think you need the absolute best laptop available, you are likely wasting your money on high-end features you will never actually use. Conclusion. Bottom line. Buy the MacBook Air. No, seriously. For 90% of the people watching this, the Air is the correct choice. It is light, it is blazingly fast, it is completely silent, and it is relatively affordable for what you get. It is hands down the best laptop for college students, writers, remote office workers, and even casual video editors putting together their own content. Do not let spec sheet anxiety trick you into buying way more computer than you actually need. Save the extra cash and buy some nice accessories. But if you fall into that remaining 10%, you already know who you are. If your livelihood directly depends on perfect color accuracy, if you regularly max out your processor for hours at a time to hit client deadlines, if you absolutely despise carrying dongles, then the MacBook Pro is a serious tool that will not let you down. It is heavy-duty, totally uncompromising, and ready for whatever crazy project you throw at it.